Okay, so let's go through the roster. So we already talked about, giving Jen Gardner a try on the top line. So we've got her penciled in on our top line. Second line, we've got Daryl Watts, Sarah Fillier, Julia Gosling. And I know we went back and forth, mostly about kind of the last 3 or 4 forward spots. And we ultimately decided to put Gosling there. I thought she's been an incredible player on the power play for Canada. I think we saw a little bit of that in Toronto last year as well. Canada only scored 3 power play goals at the rivalry series. She scored one of them and had the primary assist on the other. To me, she brings a lot of the same skills, physical attributes that we saw or that we see from a Natalie Spooner, but she's also got this incredible shot, which makes her a deadly threat on the power play.
But like Sarah Nurse could easily be on that second line, and Julia Gosling could be a great fourth line forward because she brings size and she's reliable, and that could be like a pretty gritty fourth line with Malte and Kristen O'Neill. There's just a lot of versatility there with someone like Julia Gosling. And to your point, Carissa, she has shown that she can be an asset on the power play, which needs to be better in Milan. It was 3 for 13 at rivalry. That is not good enough.
Yeah. And then on the third line, we've got Emily Clark, Blair Turnbull, Brienne Jenner. So these are all people who've been here before. Brienne Jenner looking to go to her 4th Olympics. And I think something that, pretty much anybody who watched the penalty kill on Saturday night noticed is Emily Clark and Blair Turnbull were pretty much out there for the entire time. So it's easy to tell who Troy Ryan trusts. And this is a line that I think he would have a lot of trust in. And Brienne Jenner is someone who I think could move kind of up and down the lineup as well. But Turnbull and Clark, I think you'll see they're going to be a staple on the penalty kill. They've been a staple on the third line for a long time. I don't see that changing. And then we've got a fourth line of Emma Malte, Kristen O'Neill, Sarah Nurse. Again, Malte is someone I think who could kind of move up and down the lineup. We saw her on the first line on Saturday night. We've seen her down the middle with Toronto. So that is, somewhere you could put her if need be. Kristen O'Neill for me was one of the best players in the rivalry series. I think she fits that, fourth line center role so well. She's super hard to play against. She's tough on the puck. You can play her on the penalty kill. We've seen her maybe struggle a little bit higher up, like kind of in a second line center role in the PWHL. But on Team Canada, to me, she just fits like a glove here. She's somebody who knows her role. She's been in this role for a long time. I think it just makes sense. When we're talking about those last few cuts, I think Kristen O'Neill should be in Milan.
Yeah, I don't think she's done anything to make her way off. Like, I see her as a lock. To me, I think a lot of this roster, when we're looking at the forwards, are locks. It's just a matter of where they land. I think really the only debates that we had, Carissa, was at the bottom of the lineup. There is quite a bit of a logjam at the forward position at the bottom when we're looking at a Natalie Spooner, a Jen Gardner, even though we have her on the top line, but Troy Ryan and Gina Kingsbury have not played her there. The coaching staff, we should say, have not played her there. But I would say there's a fight between Gosling, Gardner, Hannah Miller, who we haven't talked about. Is she even eligible? Like, we don't know at this time. Danielle Serdachny, Natalie Spooner for 2 or 3 spots at the bottom of the lineup, or scaling the lineup. And like, to me, Kristen O'Neill is not a debate. She's a lock. She was not somebody that I considered taking off.
So Natalie Spooner, I think, there might be some people surprised to see that we have her as the 13th forward.
They shouldn't. That's where she's been playing, just respectfully.
I know, but I'm talking
Watch
about
the games. Look at the lineup. That's where she's been playing.
I know,
Carissa.
But I think some people, though, for sure, like, because we're talking about somebody who was the PWHL MVP a couple of seasons ago, people are, might have that reaction. But I do think she is somebody who has value to bring as a 13th forward, in the sense that, again, she's another one of those players who's seen it all. She's done it all. You can throw her on a power play and sort of plunk her in front of the net, as she always is in that spot. And and she brings that kind of, I think she brings something also to their locker room. Somebody like Caitlin Kramer, I can definitely see an argument for bringing her. But if you're going to bring her as the 13th forward, and you're talking about someone that you're going to kind of put in here and there, who kind of has more of that value, I think a Natalie Spooner could bring more.
For sure. And I also think we need to give Spooner like a bit of grace in the set. Like she did tear her ACL and she hasn't played that many games this season. I think the sense is that she's been night and day this year versus her initial return from surgery last year. Like she does look much better than she did in the 14 games she played for the Toronto Scepters last season. She's only played 4 games. She has 3 points in the PWHL in those 4. So I think the idea in my mind is that come Milan, Spooner will have more games under her belt. She'll have her feet and her legs back under her a little bit more by then. And if she's the 13th forward, that's not a bad place to be for Natalie Spooner or for Team Canada to have her there. And if she takes strides in the right direction, if she gets a little bit quicker, if she makes strides in that direction, then you have a really easy second line right winger, power forward, top power play unit player to scale the lineup. But I agree with you, Carissa. There's a lot to like about Caitlin Kramer's future in the program, and her future is very bright, but I don't see her making it over Spooner at this time.
Moving on to the defense. So I think a lot of the names here are, ones that people expected. In my mind, the top 4 positions on D were locked. So that's Ella Shelton, Renata Fast, Claire Thompson, and Erin Ambrose. So we went with Jocelyn Larocque, Sophie Jakes, Chloe Primerano. So let's start with Jocelyn Larocque. So, to me, she's someone who, again, has been there, has done it all. And I think based on where we saw her play during the rivalry series, she has Troy Ryan's trust. And Sophie Jakes is someone who, going back and forth when we were talking about whose stock is up Haley, she's someone who had a great rivalry series. I think was a bright spot, if you can pick out a bright spot of that 10-4 loss. We know that she can run a power play. And I think before, my thoughts about Sophie Jakes were, well, if you're going to bring her and you're not going to put her on the power play, does she really...
Yeah, then what's the point?
Then what's the point? We saw her play a little bit on the PK on Saturday night too, which I think was an interesting move from the coaching staff.
Yeah, you know what? I think her productivity and offensive impact in the PWHL has made Sophie Jakes like undeniable for me. I don't know what else you're looking for her to be on the Olympic team. We can talk about her skating or her defensive side of the puck. She didn't really play in the gold medal game. Like those are legitimate reasons for concern. Like I think she did enough to be there. If she's not, I'm not totally sure what they're looking for.
Yeah, and she's won back-to-back Welter Cups too, which is something, to talk about. And then Chloe Primerano, I think it makes sense to take her as a 7th defender. I think that she is so skilled. She's so smart. It's obviously going to be it's going to be a big transition to be on a stage like that at 19 years old, which is how old she'll be when the Olympics start, the youngest player to be there since Marie-Philippe Poulin. Why not bring Chloe Primerano as your 7th defender? We've talked about her being the defender of the future. I think there's no doubt that she's skilled enough to be there. And then you've got a Jocelyn Larocque by her side to kind of help with that transition. Maybe she'll have some tips on Abby Murphy and, how to not let Abby Murphy take a one-timer from the exact same spot. Multiple
all the
times.
Time. I don't know. Maybe just be there
thoughts.
Defensively, get a stick in the lane, don't let her backdoor, But also, like, that is being open. Like, I know we can talk about how Canada needs to figure that out, but like being that open all of the time is a skill. Abby Murphy's very, very good at that.
She is. That is true. And then in goaltending, not much debate here. I don't think Anne-Renee Desbiens, Emerence Mashmeyer, I don't think we're going to be getting any, Nobel prizes here for who we've picked as our starting goaltender and backup goaltender. It's not science, rocket science, as they say. So we did go with Kaylee Osborne as the 3rd goaltender. I could honestly go either way here with Eve Gascon.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, the 3rd goaltender is not going to play. I went with Kaylee Osborne because I think she has a bit more runway being the starter in the PWHL to kind of make that statement.
I would probably still go with Eve Gascon, but I also don't care.
They're not going to play unless somebody gets hurt.
I think Eve Gascon is probably the next generation and Renee Desbiens. So if we're throwing in Chloe, I think we should probably throw in the future, the goalie of the future. But like you said, Kaylee Osborne's going to play more against the kind of competition they're going to face at the Olympics. So I think that's fair.